All right, hi guys. I posted the question last week on Facebook if anyone would just like some really basic cooking tips, chopping, anything, stuff like that. And it seems like the feedback was all pretty positive. So I figured let's get started. We're all still home and still enjoying each other's company. So first thing I'm going to do is show you how to slice an onion. Okay, so first of all, let's start with your knife. So the knife itself needs to be super duper sharp. That's the best way to prevent you from crying from cutting onions is a sharp knife. So I would recommend, if you don't know how to do it yourself, to get them professionally sharpened, and then get yourself one of these guys, a honing steel. And then the honing steel essentially just realigns the metal of the knife to make it more effective. So what we're going to start with then is the knife grip. So growing up, before I had any formal instruction, before I started paying attention to cooking stuff, I always held my knife like this. You actually don't have as much control over it. So when you go to hold the knife, wrap your middle finger around the bottom of it, and then grip the top of the blade with your thumb and your forefinger, and that'll give you a fair amount of control. So, all right, so let's get down to business. Yes, Jacob? Okay, so the first thing, we have our onion here. The first thing we need to do is peel that. The easiest way to do that is to chop off one end of it. And try to clean as you go. And then we're going to turn it over so that this is flat and it's not going to move around a lot. We're going to turn it over and slice it lengthways, right down the middle. And then that makes it way easier. Makes it way easier to peel the onion. Yes, you. I'm making a video, yeah. No, just a video. So, since we're slicing this, we can go ahead and cut off that other end too, which I find it's easier. So as you can see right here, I have my garbage bowl for the waste, trim as it were. I've got my onions and a towel, just a few things that are just always good to have ready right before you get started with any kind of cooking project. So, all right, so slicing this onion, what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to pay attention to the way that we're gripping it. You don't want to hold it like this, because that will necessitate slicing of fingers, not so much onion. So you want to keep your pinky and your thumb kind of tucked in here, and the rest of them so that your knuckles are the only ones exposed, so that when you're chopping, when you're slicing, you're never going to get any kind of fingers in line with the blade. So we'll go ahead and start. And you'll see the onion, how it has lines that kind of go over its skin. It's easiest to try to just follow those lines. And you don't have to go fast. And it depends obviously on how thick you want them sliced, how thin you want them sliced. This is a pretty thin slice right now. The onion has sprouted a little bit. So when you get to the point where you don't really think you can go much farther, what you'll do, so it was like this, you'll just tip it on its side and then continue the process. There you go. And there you have, minus all these green parts here, a thinly sliced half an onion. Okay, so I'll go ahead and scoop these up and put them in my bowl. Okay, one more time with the slicing. Again, keep everything tucked in, and so that you have a good control over the onion, then it's not going to move all over the place. So we're just slicing along the lines and trying to make them even slices, so you don't have one that's 1/8 of an inch and then one that's 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch. And then again, flip it on its side. Slices pretty consistent throughout. We'll scoop those up and put in our bowl. Okay. Now let's go to the dicing of the onion. So again, we'll take off a little bit of paper here. Trim off one end. Okay, and then turn it over on the other side so it sits flat, and then slice it, bisect it, if you will, right down the middle. Again, making for easier slicing, or excuse me, dicing. And peel removing. Dust off my cutting board here. Okay, so when it comes to dicing, again, remember how we're going to hold our knife. We are going to, depending on how big you want the dice, there's anything from large dice to all the way down to very small. So we're going to not all the way, but we're going to cut with the flat edge of the onion facing you. This is the easiest way that it works for me. Facing you, you're going to put slices, very thin slices. So this is going to be about the width of your dice, what we see between here and here. And you're going to slice, but not all the way to the center, so that the onion itself stays together for the most part. Okay. Whoops, a little far. Okay, so then there we have our rows cut here, and you can kind of see them, how they're separate like that. So then what we're going to do, and we're carefully, again, not going to put our fingers in line with the knife, with the way the blade of the knife is going. We're going to keep it this way, and we're going to slice one slice right through the middle of the onion. Okay, and now here's the payoff. Again, holding the onion, fingers tucked in, we're going to trim all of the rows that we have just sliced. And that should bring you right up pretty close to where the end is. So we have basically, with a few exceptions, a pretty even dice all around. So we'll do that one more time after I scrape off my cutting board here. I've got a few irregularities inside here. Anyway, so we start off, again, depending on how big you want your dice, that's how big your slices should be. Not all the way through to the end, but almost, so that the onion stays together. And one more time, one big slice right through the middle of all the rows that you just cut. And finally the dice. So pretty even. Again, some irregularities here and there, but it will work for really anything that we're doing at home. So, yeah, I think that's it. If anybody has any questions, then please let me know, and I'll be happy to respond. Hopefully with correct information. And if you have suggestions as far as what other things you would like to see, please let me know. Thanks. Oh, wash your hands.